This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, June 1st. It is the first day of June, but also the first day of Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everyone. I'm Tori in the studio with Al, and Lindsay joins us from home. I just want us all to take a breath because this weekend was a little insane. You guys are already writing in, so let's all just be here in the present moment so we can focus and get ready to fight another day. Is that right? Well, it was the 6th night of protest all across the country, so I didn't even take a breath. Thousands of people gathered to demonstrate over the death of George Floyd. More than 4,000 people were arrested over the weekend, as officials in at least 26 states have activated the National Guard. So to get an idea of just how widespread these demonstrations are, let's take a look at this map, all right? So protests took place in at least 120 cities over the weekend. Now, it's important to note, many, if not most, all of the protests began peacefully, okay? I want to make that very clear. Crowds gathered together to chant and march, demanding an end to police brutality. Some of those protests had extremely moving moments, like in Denver, where hundreds of people laid face down by the state capitol with their hands behind their backs for 9 minutes, mirroring the position George Floyd was before his death. In Iowa, police joined in with protesters, taking a knee in silence, also for 9 minutes, marking the amount of time a white police officer kneeled on George Floyd's neck. Nonetheless, pockets of demonstrations turned into chaotic scenes as night fell, with store windows being broken and looted, vehicles being torched, and clashes with the police. There was also a lot of violence over the weekend, and a warning to our viewers, some of this video is graphic. Well, let's start in Minneapolis. A tanker truck driver was seen speeding through marchers protesting on a bridge. That driver is now being held on probable assault charges, and luckily I get to report that nobody was hurt. In Atlanta, 2 police officers were fired after this video went viral, showing them using excessive force against 2 college students. They were yanked out of their car, and one of them was tased. A lot of people are drawing a distinction between the peaceful protests and the rioting, and they're worried that the real message is being lost, and that includes George Floyd's brother, Terrence, who was on Good Morning America this morning. So let's take a look at what Terrence had to say.
I do feel like it's overshadowing what's going on because, like I said, he was about peace, he was about unity, but the things that's transpiring now, they may call it unity, but it's destructive unity. It's not what he was about. Yeah, he was a motivator. I'm just gonna, that's how I could just sum it up. He was a motivator.
Wow. Big Floyd was known for his peace activism. Lindsay, Al, I want to make this clear. There were like 3 things going on at the same time of the protest. One was for George Floyd, one was looting, just plain and greedy, and one was actual antagonizers who were there to actually cause harm. So let's make sure the message doesn't get diluted. Lindsay, do you feel like it was that complicated for you to see as well?
I think there was a clear, overwhelming amount of people from the protests that I went to that were specifically there to support the cause. Even as an unbiased interviewer and going out there and asking people what was going on, a lot of people, some people were there just because they were stir crazy and inside the house. So that's not somebody who is there for the Black Lives Matter movement. But I think, like you said, it's important to understand why the people who are angry and protesting but not looting stuff are angry for a reason. So always leading with that is very important, especially as people in the media, that these people are not just angry out of nowhere. So when you look at the history of America, right, we have 1619 through 1865 where we were completely enslaved. Then we have 1865 to 1954 where segregation, Jim Crow, we were hung, we were beaten. And so from 1954 we had some semblance of freedom, which gives us 60+ years where we're at right now of the only time we had freedom in this country. So when people say they shouldn't be that mad or they should be calmly, peacefully kneeling and doing all this stuff, I understand you, but you're not also understanding the lead of this entire story, why some people are enraged past George Floyd, saying that enough is enough and we don't want to ever do this type of marching or protesting again.
That's very well said. In fact, someone had a sign, Lindsay, from Malcolm X that read, "That's not a chip on my shoulder, that's your foot on my neck." and that is from Malcolm X, and it's why they're angry. Al, did you see a kaleidoscope of sort of different things during that protest?
Lindsay, just like you, I think you went out on Friday night. I went out yesterday, and I'm going to be back out today. And like you said, I didn't see any of the things that we're seeing on the news. And there's something on the news that says if it bleeds, it leads. And it's showing people march peacefully isn't great for the image in terms of making sure the eyeballs stay glued on your screen. It's easy to show people breaking windows and people doing the wrong thing rather than the majority of people, which I saw with my own eyes, not on TV. I got tired of watching TV. I don't want to watch TV anymore. I want to be in the thick of this. I don't want to tweet anymore. I want to focus on like boots on the ground and see who's really about it and who's not. And the people that were down there were really about Black Lives Matter and were really about George Floyd's memory and really about change. So this looting narrative is just a distraction. That's
well said as well. Now, we are going to actually show some of your videos of you being at the protest, Lindsay and Al, in the next block. But I got to get to this new video because things got even worse, even when we thought they couldn't. There is new video of the arrest of George Floyd from a different angle, and it reportedly shows the minutes before he was face down on the ground while officers kneeled on him for 9 minutes. In the video, here we go. Whew. You see the police cruiser with one officer leaning into the police car and some sort of physical altercation going on. Take a look at the other officer. He's seen just looking at it with his hand in the pocket. God, that makes me sick. Meantime, the Minneapolis police chief, who used to employ all 4 of those officers, had an emotional message about their involvement. So here's what he had to talk about with CNN.
There are absolute truths in life. We need air to breathe. The killing of Mr. Floyd was an absolute truth that it was wrong. I did not need days or weeks or months or processes or bureaucracies to tell me that what occurred out here last Monday, it was wrong.
Not only was it wrong, it's murder charges, in my opinion, and I'd have to say, now we have new video, Lindsay. There could be interest in moving it up to maybe, let's say, a second-degree murder charges, which is intent without being pre-planning or premeditated. Were you able to even watch the video? How did you feel?
No, I stopped watching the video of George Floyd being killed and beaten because I don't think that is helpful in any way at this point. We understand it, we digest it, let's see it in court. I just think that when we hear the police chief and different mayors around the country coming out and condemning this and saying this is bad, that's great, and we really appreciate the lip service. But we really want to know, what are you going to do to put audits, like I've said before, inside of these police departments and make sure that it doesn't happen again? How are you going to make sure that this doesn't happen again? You are in a position of power. What exactly are you going to do? I'd rather hear plans being laid out than people saying they know this is wrong. We got that part.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Also, how come you arrested over 4,000 people this weekend and those other 3 cops aren't behind bars? It blows my mind that a prosecutor wouldn't say, I have enough probable cause to take those men to jail immediately. Al, do you agree with me?
I do, and they keep saying, well, we want to get our ducks in a row and make sure we have a solid case. I mean, the video that I'm looking at now looks pretty solid. We have video from every different angle. I don't know if they need an aerial angle or infrared camera. I don't know what else that you would need, but this is, and I was talking to my girl about this, this is one of the things that really scares Black folks is we just figure if you have all this video and it's still not a slam dunk case, then what chance do we have if there's only partial video or there's only audio or there's no video at all? It just lets you know that if there's no video, you have no chance.
Wow. Well said. You guys are all writing in. A lot of us say stay safe. A lot of people saying they went to the protest. Remember, we're going to see Lindsay and Al's protests that they went to in Denver in the next block. Lindsay, don't go away, because next on DBL, as I said, we're talking more about those protests. There's Al. And we're sharing some harrowing firsthand accounts from the weekend. Then later, how celebrities are using their huge platforms to shed light on the systematic racism plaguing our country. And as we kick off another week of shows, a big thank you. We are so grateful to our coworkers who are producing DBL from home because of, don't forget, we still have an ongoing coronavirus pandemic. We love you. We're grateful for you. We'll be right back.
Pets are family.
To DBL, we've been talking a lot about the protests and demonstrations all across the country. We're getting people writing in. Patrice said she protested in Vegas, and it was productive and safe and done in love, and we appreciate that. Well, Al and Lindsay, you were both out this weekend at protests in Denver. You made sure that your voices were heard, and I really just want to know about what you experienced and the temperature and how you're feeling about doing it. Lindsay, let's start with you. You made an amazing video. I highly suggest people go see it on your Instagram. You actually got tear gassed, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of it we were filming, and at some points I was running with the camera, so I cut that out of the clip. But there were times when they were just spraying tear gas, and there were like 5 black cars driving down the street at a high speed, just shooting out these bombs of tear gas, and people just started running like a mass crowd. They also were shooting out rubber bullets. I didn't know the effect that they have, how much they can hurt people, but I did see people online later on Saturday and Sunday that had major injuries because of these rubber bullets. So it's not anything like a paintball gun or what people are describing it as. It's a serious issue that they're doing this to people that were not overwhelmingly being violent at all. All I saw was one person breaking a lamp while I was out there.
Well, my question is that was there anything leading up to when you had those cars going by getting tear gas? Was there what was the temperature of the crowd? Was it peaceful at that point?
People were protesting and saying no justice, no peace, holding up signs, standing together in crowds with masks on. Nothing that I saw was antagonizing the police directly to make them do any of this stuff. Specifically, when I was walking up to the protest and parked several blocks away, they were driving down at a high speed, even so far that they were shooting the tear gas down blocks away from where the major crowd was, which is what I was running from, hiding behind the Capitol building and hiding behind trees with my boyfriend Colin to make sure that we didn't get hit with a rubber bullet. So it was pretty disgusting on their end. And also what I saw on local news, as somebody who watches local news and national news very closely, is the difference between what I saw when I went down in Denver and what I saw on local news outlets, specifically in Denver. So I think that it needs to be clear. The full story should be told. That's very important for journalists to do.
Real quickly, what do you mean? Do you feel like one was showing more violence than the other? Just be clear on what you mean. I want to hear what that.
No, I think specifically in Denver, they were showing crowds like there were 2 people outside, like it was pointless, like our city. No, this was a very big protest of people of all nationalities outside with intention, very specific intention.
Interesting. Al?
And to your point, Lindsay, trying to show 2 people and saying these are small protests. When I was doing the protest tour, we were down at the Capitol building, and I was talking to Alexa, our producer, that said that she was with another group that was down near the 16th Street Mall area. What I realized, and I actually have footage of it, but I didn't give it to our producers, is there's a moment when that 16th Street group came and merged with our group when we were down near the Capitol. I didn't even know that there was an equally sized protest going on somewhere else.
Wow.
So I actually saw those merge together. This is the footage that I took. Way to have your finger over the camera, Al. Nice job on that one. That's me. Yes, that's me from across the street. But like you said, Lindsay, this was safe, this was loving, and this was everybody had a coherent message, and you know, these are just people that were tired, and I was tired of staying in my home and saying this is crazy and tweeting and scrolling. It's like at some point you got to put boots on the ground. You arguing with your uncle over Facebook isn't going to do anything. You saying this is outrageous isn't going to do anything. Unfortunately, people do not feel heard in Congress. They do not feel heard in the Senate. We have no leadership that's saying anything from the top bottom. So anytime anything has happened, it's been people taking to the streets, whether it was the bus, the civil rights movement, whether it was a women's suffrage movement. Until people said nothing's going to happen until something gets fixed, that's when things get fixed. Asking your congressperson, let's hope, but I haven't seen that really work yet. Have you?
No, not at all. Also, Lindsay, you had specific sort of ways in which you can actually do something instead of hashtag activism or hash activism, something like that.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. Donating certain books you can read, things like that. Could you just tell us a little bit about that? You spread that, and that was really, really helpful.
I think it's important as people who are working to be allies to understand that texting somebody that you know that is a person that's black and saying how can I help is really unhelpful at this point. I think people are already going through enough trying to figure out how to deal with regular life and raise their kids, also not get coronavirus, but they don't need to tell you how to do research in order to be helpful to this. There's Minnesota Freedom Fund, you know, there's several different outlets out there where you can donate money or time, donate resources to your local community of people that are getting hit by rubber bullets and tear gas and getting hurt, donate milk and supplies supplies. I saw several churches out by the protest that were providing supplies to people. You can drop some off at these churches. There are ways that you can actively help using your time, putting your money where your mouth is, and really being productive. I had several friends that were getting messages saying, oh, we want to buy you lunch, buy you dinner. It's actually not helpful to buy a black person lunch or dinner right now. Buy somebody that needs the dinner, or do something that actually helps somebody get out of jail that was a peaceful protester that was then hurt and taken down by police that were not doing their job properly. You know, there's several ineffective ways to help, and there are several effective ways to help, and I think people need to make it the time, if they really want to be an ally, to figure that out.
Amen.
And Lindsay, let me just say this. I know we got to go, Tori, but I just say this. Your presence says so much. So if you're like, hey, I can't get out and march for whatever reason, people aren't marching in my city. Like I said last week, your presence means so much. So if you have somebody at Thanksgiving, at your cookouts, that's saying xenophobic things, racist things, you let the person know, and not whisper, don't text your grandma, hey, no, you tell everybody, until person X stops saying these things around my children, around the children we are trying to launch into this next generation, I will not be at Thanksgiving. I will not be at my brother's wedding. You need to take a stand within your family. We need to identify and isolate these people. So we need to make a decision in your family. It starts with your family, your friends. If somebody in the break room is saying stuff, say, I will not eat in here. If somebody is saying anything that you truly don't agree with, just say, I will not be here until this rhetoric stops, and we'll see things change on a fundamental level.
Wow, well said. All right. Beautiful. Coming up on DBL, we'll show you how the world's most famous stars are stepping up during this time of racial unrest. We'll be right back.
Could someone be
Welcome back to DBL. Some celebrities hit the streets this weekend to join protests across the country to support Black Lives Matter and other movements. Ariana Grande was one of them. She is so tiny. Look at her. She marched in Los Angeles and criticized the media for not covering the peaceful demonstration, tweeting, "We were passionate, we were loud, we were loving. Cover this too, please." Also in LA, Paris Jackson made a similar plea for peace and denounced those who caused violence. Nick Cannon joined the protests in Minneapolis. He posted a series of photos on Instagram wearing a shirt that read, "Please, I can't breathe." Those, of course, were the infamous last words heard by us all by George Floyd. Nick also released a spoken word video detailing his frustrations as a black man in America. Let's take a listen.
I can't breathe again. I can't breathe. Our voices are being quarantined. COVID-19, 60s to 1619. Jamestown choked me, sold me, shackles hold me tightly by my neck, and I can't breathe.
Wow. Things did get violent for some celebrities on the streets. In LA, Halsey tweeted that police unleashed tear gas and fired rubber bullets at her group. In Chicago, John Cusack recorded the moment. He says police came at him with batons and hit his bike while he was filming a car burning in the street. Take a look.
Get out of here! All right. Get out of here! Get your boy out of here now! All right, I'm going. Get out of here! Let's go!
I just got to call it out for what it is. We see celebrities. We saw Lindsay. We saw Al having to have this happen. The escalation of the police versus the peaceful protest. Now, I realize there were looters and antagonizers, including this gentleman. I think we have a picture who was arrested for setting the Nashville courthouse on fire. He's not for George Floyd. He's not for anything. He's for antagonizing the situation. So why do you think the police, this is, Wellesley Summers. I don't even care about his name, but yeah, Wellesley Summers. But anyway, I just want to say, why do police escalate Wesley, why do police escalate and not de-escalate? Why do you think, Al?
It's training. It's
but why
training.
aren't they trained to calm it down?
I mean, look,
I know I sound.
This is what it is, and I mean, it only applies to certain communities. You never see this when the college teams win, and
or
there's
the white people
there's
stormed the
30,000. Yes, there's 30,000 or people with machine guns. Where was all this then? Where were the batons then?
Yeah.
So I think we got the receipts right there.
Wow. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. Have you noticed a change in your sleeping habits? I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Major news events like the pandemic or the protests can really stress you out and impact your sleep. So we're talking about the 3 most common effects in today's Rise and Thrive, sponsored by SoClean. So first, we're sleeping longer, which ironically can actually make you feel more tired. Second, we're going to bed later. And finally, we're having strange and more vivid dreams. When it comes to your sleep, for ways to rest easy, go to SoClean.com or call 1-800-562-3891. You know what's super weird for me, guys, is I have the virus is in my dream. Like my dream is knowledgeable about the virus. Like I'm wearing a mask in my dreams.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Lindsay, what about you? What are you doing?
I think it was with coronavirus, I was having trouble sleeping because my schedule changed. But now, last week I just couldn't sleep because every time you turned on the news, there was a major update, and I was just overwhelmed by that. So
I know what you mean. We wish everyone well. Be safe. Be safe. DBL
Love you, Linz.
every day. We'll see you, Linz. We'll
Tell
see
Colin
you.
I
Love
said
you
what
guys
up.
too.
Same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.